It's time for another Dice Tower review with Z. Garcia.
Hey everybody, today I'm taking a look at Freak Shop. In this little card game, all the players are mansion owners, and you are trying to stock that mansion with the best spooky stuff to scare your tourists. And so you are going to be grabbing cards, selling cards back in for other cards, basically preparing in front of you exactly the combination you need to score the most victory points. Let me give you a look at the game, and then we'll come on back and I'll tell you what I thought of it. To set up the game, we are going to give each player some starting equipment, a 1, a 2, and a 3, and then another card depending on their position in play. And we are going to pick 3 goals, which is how you'll be scoring. We're going to shuffle up the rest of the cards, and among the bottom few, put an endgame trigger card. You can also set the little scoring sheet here aside for now, and you are ready to begin. So, what you are attempting to do in the game is collect specific sets and then score the most points, again, based on these tiles here. So, for example, this one here says you're going to get 2 victory points, 2 scare points, for every card value that has a bargain in it, which are cards with a little marking on them, alright? So for each number of that has that, you're going to get 2 victory points. And the numbers go from 1 all the way up to 10. There's a bunch of 1s and fewer of each all the way up to 10 where there's just a couple. This card here says you're going to add up the total of all the cards in front of you. You're going to divide that by 10 and get 3 victory points for each of those. And then this one, lastly, is you're scoring a run. So the longest continuous run, you're going to get 3 points per card in there. So right now, for example, if this player is going to score 1, 2, 3, gets him 9 points. All right? So we're just going to set these aside for now. Just put them over here. And as I said, there's a few in each, but you just pick 1 per color. And then we're going to flip over 5 cards from the deck into a common pool here. The start player is this player right here, and we are off. On your turn, you are going to do one of 2 things. You are going to get a good deal, or you are going to sell at a fair price, which really just means you can make 2 types of switches. You can make a switch which is as many of one kind of card for as many of another kind of card as you want to. So for example, I can give up the 1, I can get the 9. Done. The other kind of switch is you can give up 1 card or whatever combination you want of cards and then get a similar, an equivalent value out of the pool here. So I could give up, let's say, the 5 here, and I could get a 1 and a 4 out of the pool if it was there. So right now I could do something like this. Once that's done, then for 3 players you're going to flip over 2 more cards into the pool, and it would be the next player's turn. This card right here, by the way, has that little deal value right there next to the number. That is the bargain symbol. That this is gonna, which one is it? This one here is going to score based on that. So you're gonna want some of those. Some tiles, depending on the scoring opportunities, sometimes you want them, sometimes you don't want them. It's the next player's turn, and they are going to take a look at what they're doing there, and they're gonna give up this 6, and they will take 1, 2, 3. I can't quite do it, but they'll give up the 6 and get a 1 and a 5. So that one is what they call selling at a fair price, okay? Then we come over, we flip over 2 new ones, come over to the next player. This player here is going to, let's say, give up the 7, and they'll take 3 1s, which is 3. Oh, they can't quite do that either. Okay, 2, and the 5. That's 7. That'll work for me. So I'll take my 5, and I'll give myself another 2. It'll come back around after we flip a couple more cards. And as you can see, you are very quickly going to need space. The game does say that if after you flip over the 1 or 2 cards it needs to replenish, if there are fewer than 5s, you would then keep flipping until there are, in fact, at least 5. But I've rarely seen that be necessary. We come over here again, and This player is going to give up the 9, and they are going to get these 3 1s and the 6. That is a total of 9, so they'll take that. We'll flip over some cards in here. Back to this player. So the typical kinds of move you're going to see in this game. For example, this player now is going to give up 2 1s and take 2 9s. That's huge. And then they can dump one of those 9s back in to get a bunch of cards. So the typical moves you are going to see here are twofold. You are going to see a large valued card get thrown into the pool and you take a bunch of little ones, right? Or you're going to see a bunch of, then the follow-up to that move, right, is a bunch of small cards that get thrown in and you take a bunch of large valued cards. Now, obviously, this does not always hold, doesn't always hold true depending on what you're going for here. Like right now, for example, I'm ignoring these bargain cards because I'm not playing well, but, you know, that's obviously because I'm trying to play and teach at the same time and play for 3 players. But those are the 2 kinds of move you are likely to see in the game. This is all going to continue until there's a card near the bottom here. There it is. Until this card gets flipped into the pool there. At that point, the game is immediately over, right then and there, and you would score based on whatever criteria you picked for yourself at the beginning of the game. And the scores are typically very, very close in this game because, well, largely because everybody's sort of doing the same thing. So as you can see, it's going to look something like that. Your 3 conditions, your winning scores at the end, and that pretty much is how you play Freak Shop. Let's go back up top and let me give you some final thoughts. So a pretty straightforward game with a good look to it. It's attractive. I like the quality of the components. Artwork is great in it. The gameplay itself is okay. It's a little samey. From round to round, you are sort of making those 2 kind of obvious moves that I pointed out in the overview. You want to grab a 1, throw a 1 in, grab a 9, and then throw that 9 in and grab a bunch of 1s and 2s, and then cash in a bunch of 1s for a bunch of like 8s or 9s, right? It's that. You are very quickly going to be able to ramp up how much stuff is in front of you if you do those moves, and they're obvious. You know, it's nothing. There's not a whole lot of discovery here. It's just what's out there and I should grab now, right? Depending on the scoring opportunities. Now, those being different is neat, but they're not going to really shake up the way you play. What you're going for, yeah, but how you play, not really. The game also has a weird occurrence where it's kind of not over when the players seem to be ready for it to be over. It's happened to me a couple of times where every player is sort of like good to score. You know, we're ready for the game to finish. You kind of want in these games for the ending to creep up on you, right? You're like, oh boy, I hope I get one more round. I haven't really experienced that with this game. You end up getting a couple more rounds, or 3 or 4 when you're done. And you still have to do some switch, but you're kind of ready to score. So there is that as well. The game's a little dry ultimately, and while functional, while attractive and cute and simple and easy to teach, isn't really particularly captivating, unfortunately. So it didn't really speak for me. It's kind of middle of the road. Not one I'm necessarily going to be bringing out to the table too much, you know. So that's it. Freak Shop. Cute little package, but ultimately not something that got its hooks in me and really engaged me.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.